we're going to talk about how suffering arises. And I just want to acknowledge that I'm here now in my suffering, which arises for me as a story about loneliness and being unlovable. But the question is, how does discomfort turn into suffering? How does sensation turn into suffering? So, what I've seen, and I'm really trying to speak from my having seenness and feltness rather than a learning through knowledge, through books, through teachers. But what I have experienced in my own life could be described as a constant, unconscious discomfort, an uneasiness, which is at its core innocent in the sense that it is not a sign of anything wrong, but through the natural duality of the mind, sensations get split up into pleasure and pain, and we move towards the pleasurable ones and we move away from the unpleasant ones, the ones that the mind has deemed unpleasant. And this is just the state of being a human. So there's nothing wrong with this thing of duality. But this is how it gets turned into suffering. That from the state of being in discomfort, a reason gets created, a justification for the discomfort. So first there is sensation, then there is a picking and choosing of sensation, a preference of sensation. I want this one and not that one. And then there is a plan made to move away from the unpleasant sensations and towards the pleasant ones. And inside of this plan is born hope, is born time, and is born space. All of which are illusions. And they work to conceal reality. So, right, we are there in an uncomfortable sensation, and then the mind says, oh, I know why I'm uncomfortable. Well, first it says something's wrong, right? We have a sensation, and the mind just makes it mean something's wrong. I need to do something about this. I need to change something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong quite, but let me flip mentally through my Rolodex of problems, pick one, and decide that that is the one that is causing my discomfort in the moment, right? So could be money stuff, career stuff. As I said, for me, it's often a loneliness. These are just the common problems that the mind runs through. I'm different. I'm wrong. Then it comes up with a plan in time and space to fix this thing that it has deemed a problem. So, if it's a money thing, if it's picked money as its problem, then it's going to say, okay, we need to get more money. And here's the plan. We're going to do this, yada, yada, this. Or maybe, it's that we're going to wait around for somebody to come and save us, or whatever it is. And then it puts the solution to this problem into the future, which is also just an illusion. And it sort of does that because if it didn't put it in the future, then we would have to just be with the sensation in the moment, which would, in a sense, move us through the sensation and possibly even disappear the sensation and therefore the problem, which would kind of render the mind useless. And so the mind puts it into the future, says, oh, I got to do this, this, and this. I got to go here, here, and here, move this from here to there, change this, convince this person, move this around, become this, change this about myself. All of these things, which put time and distance between you and your happiness, let's say, or your peace, your serenity. And this is where discomfort turns into suffering, because it freezes the sensation in time, and it smears this discomfort out into your whole life. Because then we, if we're lonely, we seek a partner. But the seeking of the partner is just to give hope to the cessation of this discomfort. And that's what you want to get. The discomfort does not actually have anything to do with having or not having a partner. The discomfort was there. The discomfort was just a sensation that the mind said was wrong, and then came up with a reason for why it was there and how to solve it. So then we're out in the world dealing with relationship in order to solve something that is just there, that is not caused by the lack of relationship or the lack of money or the lack of career or the lack of whatever, but simply convinced that attaining or changing or getting or buying or having or becoming into what the mind has said we must have, do, or become will solve this pain. So then we get the relationship, then we get the job, then we get the money. And the discomfort is still there, right? Even more so, what's important to get is that it's really the hope of the discomfort being alleviated which numbs us, which is why it is most numbed in the process of trying to attain or become or change, right? Once we have the plan and we are set forth into the world, that pain is numbed through the hope that it will be changed in the future. Then attaining whatever we have worked to get, achieve, become, have, we arrive, and the sensation of something's wrong is still there. So then we look to the partner that we have gone out and found, or we look to the job that we have obtained, or the money that we earned. and we say, no, something's wrong with you, or something's wrong with this, or it's not what it should be. And so then we go on to change it more, simply to rebirth the hope that something could alleviate this discomfort, that something could change our feeling, our sensation. And this is how the discomfort creates space, time, hope, and essentially all the elements that we call our lives. And so, if this has made any sense, then you might see that to return back to sensation, to return back to experience, we must drop all of these, first, the assessments of the sensations, the labeling of good and bad and right and wrong within the body, within sensation, within experience. And we must give up hope of changing the internal state through altering the external world. Which is, this is where it gets sort of, let's say the map gets confusing, because there is, the death of hope, it can be painful, but it returns you to the present moment, from which things can unfold and things can actually be addressed in reality, not a plan born out of hope in the future that once we do this and change that, we will be at peace.